What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Wrestling News Live 5, bringing you wrestling news from all over the world. My name is Adam, and I'm being joined once again by Nick the Greek. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Adam.
How are you tonight?
I'm well. Excited to be here with you tonight.
All right, awesome. And we are here to review, wow, a little bit late on this one, but it took me a while to get through this pay-per-view. That's kind of why. But we are here to review New Japan New Beginnings in Sapporo Night 2. Last week, we did a review of Night 1, and I felt like it was a pretty good review. I felt like it was a pretty good show overall, and pretty enjoyable Night 1 overall, I felt. And we're here to review Night 2. But before we do that, we wouldn't be Wrestling News Live 5 if we didn't bring you wrestling news. So, before we get into the pay-per-view, I just want to touch on something that is making the news right now, which is at last night's New Japan show, which was in Osaka, I believe. They did another New Beginning pay-per-view last night, which was in Osaka. And kind of in the same spirit of Chris Jericho, we got, and I haven't seen it yet, this is only what I've read online. There was a video package of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is coming to New Japan. And apparently, his opponent, from what I understand, is going to be Jushin Liger. Is that correct?
Yes, Jushin Liger. That's who he challenged in the video that he appeared in. And
right. I have not seen this yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to touch on this quickly, since this is something that is big. It's big news, because I feel, especially since this match, from what I understand, is going to be in their Long Beach show.
Yes, it is.
Their Long Beach, California show. So, Rey Mysterio, don't know how many shows it's going to be. Don't know for how long he's going to be in New Japan. We don't know if this is going to be a Jericho thing where he's semi-part-time, if he's going to be part-time, if he's going to do the match with Liger and that's it, or if he's going to be a regular there in Japan. But what does this mean? What does this mean, Nick the Greek, for New Japan, and what does it mean for this Long Beach show? That, by the way, is going to be on Access, by the way. It's going to be on live TV, on live American TV.
Well, I think the fact that New Japan is actually going to be on a national cable network, granted it's a relatively small one, but still going to be on a national cable network and live, I think is a big step forward for the growth of New Japan internationally, especially into the American market. And I think it's a good sign for the health of the company, at least abroad. And I'm excited as a wrestling fan to see New Japan growing in America. I don't know if they'll ever be as big as, let's say, WCW was back in the Monday Night Wars, but a fan can dream, can't he?
It does kind of, it is beginning to feel like that. It is beginning to feel like, oh my goodness, there's finally competition for WWE. Again, I'm not saying New Japan is going to have a show on Monday nights or anything like that. I'm not saying that, there's going to be a Monday Night War, or even a Tuesday Night War, or a Wednesday Night War. But it feels like there's finally competition again for WWE, legitimate competition. This is probably something that we haven't experienced in maybe the better part of 20 years.
Has it been that long since Nitro went off the air?
Nitro went off the air in 2001.
2001. Yeah, almost.
Right, maybe 17 years. Okay, 17 years. But WCW wasn't really competitive with WWE for the last few years. They were just being crushed by Raw.
Yeah, they were.
So not really counting, not counting the Russo years of WCW, not counting, Pinata on a Pole or anything like that.
Banana on a pole.
You know, it's funny. I was actually not to get off track, but we're getting off that I'm still on that JR kick. So if I get off track, I blame JR. Um, this is even though JR is not here or might not even be listening to the show right now, I blame you. So but that's for another podcast. So I was actually watching something that was a Christian Russo thing. It was some Christian wrestling show that Russo booked, and I was like, oh, why don't they have like a crucifix on a pole match or something like that? It wasn't long after I had that thought that they actually had like a sword, like it was like some artifact on a pole. But anyway, go watch Brian Zane's review, with Regret, of Ring of Glory. But anyway, back to New Japan
Mhm.
and what Rey Mysterio going to New Japan could mean for the company.
Well, sorry, you first.
I I I feel like this is going to get a lot of eyes on that show.
Mhm.
People who may have never watched New Japan before, people who may never experienced New Japan before, are
Mhm.
going to say, well, I don't know. I don't really know this Tanahashi guy, or I don't really know this Minoru Suzuki guy, or, this Okada guy, but I like Rey Mysterio. So I'm going to watch. I'm going to tune in. And I feel like if New Japan markets it that way, kind of like the way that TNA should have marketed in 2010 with Hulk Hogan,
Mm.
this show is going to be a success. It's going to be a big, big, big success.
Now, here's a question for you. Do you think Jericho will be on this show?
I would love if Jericho was on the show. If
Sorry, you first.
it's in California, and see, here's the thing: I don't know if he's going to be around with Fozzy, because as far as I know, he is touring with Fozzy. So if he's available and they can get him for this Long Beach show, then yeah, great, absolutely. I would love. He doesn't have to go far. I mean, he doesn't have to go out of the U.S. You know, um, so if they could get Jericho for the show, then it would be even I think, a bigger success than just having Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, see, what I'm hoping happens is, in addition to this Mysterio versus Jushin Thunder Liger match, that maybe they can have Jericho Naito on this show.
That would be great. I think they might be saving that for a bigger show in Japan. I don't really know.
Mhm.
I don't know when they're going to really, because they've been teasing Jericho Naito for a while.
Mhm.
So I don't really know when they're going to pull the trigger on that and when they're actually going to have the payoff, so to speak, with Jericho and Naito.
Mhm.
But I do feel like it would be big. It would be huge to have both Jericho and Rey Mysterio on the show,
Mhm.
uh, especially being on live TV.
Mhm.
It would be it would get huge numbers, and I think it would kind of show access if they haven't already. If they don't believe in New Japan enough already, that New Japan is really something worth putting a lot of money and effort into as a network.
Well, apparently Mark Cuban was already pretty high on New Japan. And he has big hopes, apparently, for New Japan Pro Wrestling in the United States.
That's great. That is
Yeah.
that is great news. Now, again, Access, as you mentioned, is not the biggest network.
Mhm.
It's maybe a step or two above Pop TV,
Yes.
but the product is there. And New Japan World is doing, from what I understand, incredibly well.
Yes, yes. And it is worth noting that the viewing landscape for people today isn't what it was even a few years ago. A lot of people aren't getting their entertainment through cable anymore. I mean, in my case, for instance, I don't even have cable or satellite. I watch everything through streaming, like through services like Hulu. I have New Japan World. I have the WWE Network. So people don't even have to have cable anymore. I know that there's like a thing called Sling, and that has a lot of the channels like Access on it.
Yeah, there's Sling, there's Roku.
Yes, Roku is just a streaming device, but Sling is actually a service that you can even download onto your Roku, and they have all sorts of channel packages and whatnot. But not only that, even DirecTV now allows they do a streaming service thing, so you don't even have to have like a dish or even a TV for that matter. You can just pay them and download the software onto your phone, and you got TV on your phone.
Yeah,
it's almost an advertisement.
I think right. Yeah, I think maybe we just got our first sponsor. Hey, if this show can get sponsored by Sling, we're going places. We've pretty much made it if we're being sponsored by Sling. But if they want to send me a free subscription, that would be awesome as well. Sling is a great service.
Yeah, it is. Although I do want to make sure we're not actually sponsored by anybody.
We're not actually sponsored by Sling yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I just want to say it is a great service that everyone should sign up for. Anyway, so yeah, it seems like New Japan, and if you couldn't tell already just by the first few minutes of the show, Nick and I are really high on New Japan. There's no doubt about it, but I feel like they're definitely have their fingers on the button in terms of what's hot right now and what's getting over.
But I just realized I didn't actually finish my point. I think the main thing is them getting eyeballs, be it through streaming services or actually watching on a cable box. But I do think that this could not only grow New Japan, but actually grow the Access Network itself. I mean, it's worth noting. I mean, what was the USA Network before Raw ever got on there?
They were a network that showed Walker, Texas Ranger.
Exactly. You know?
Oh no, they also had La Femme Nikita. They had La Femme Nikita because I remember it ran after Monday Night Raw, and it was kind of like, stay tuned for La Femme Nikita. And I think they also had that other Renegade show. But anyway, I see your point.
Yeah, so wrestling can make networks sometimes. I mean, it's worth noting that one of the anchors of the old TBS, besides the Atlanta Braves, was WCW, you know, mm-hmm. And for a long time. So wrestling can serve as a good anchor for a network if the product is good and becomes popular. And I think that wrestling is not one size fits all. And I do think that there can be multiple flavors of pro wrestling. And I do feel that there is a market in America for a style and flavor of wrestling that is different from the WWE product. And I think it's a lot larger than people think. And I think New Japan can really tap into that. Heck, I'm a convert.
Right. But just to circle back real quick, do you think that Rey Mysterio being on the show himself will bring eyeballs to the screen, whatever screen you're watching it on, whether it be your phone or laptop or television set? Will Rey Mysterio bring eyeballs to the screen?
Oh yeah, definitely. He will bring eyeballs, and once they're there, if they can put on a show, that will be even better. And I'm convinced that Ray can still go. I don't know if Jushin Thunder Liger can still go. Do you think he can?
I think I was pretty impressed with what I've seen the last couple of months or so of Jushin Liger in New Japan. Again, granted they were in tag matches or mixed tag matches, but he was decent. He was not bad. And Rey Mysterio, as we know, he can go. because he had a pretty impressive performance in the Royal Rumble this year. He was
Yes, he has.
yeah, he now I don't know if he can go for a full match. It probably won't be a long match because Rey Mysterio is probably what I'm going to say he's in the range of 40.
Mhm.
If not over 40. But good performance in the Royal Rumble from Rey, I felt.
Well, not only that, last year he had a great match with Prince Puma, aka Ricochet. So wasn't that long ago he was putting on, dare I say, A level matches.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, we'll definitely see. He's 43, by the way. So I was right in the wheelhouse. So, but again, it doesn't matter. What matters is can he go? It will bring people to the product. It will bring people to New Japan, hopefully. Again, as long as they do the right thing with Rey by not making him the show, but part of the show, and bringing people through the door, and then introducing them to Okada and Suzuki and Tanahashi and Omega. Don't do what they did with Hogan. But don't do what TNA did with Hogan in 2010. Don't make that mistake.
Oh, agreed.
Don't make that mistake.
No, I don't think that they'll make that mistake. And from what I've been reading on the internet, I don't know if it's going to be anything more than just a one match thing for all we know. I mean, for all we know, it could be a one and done. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I hope it's not. I hope it's he's coming into the fold, or at least he's going to be signed for a few matches during the course of the year and just put on stellar performances in a company that's growing, which would be great.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Even get some guys over.
What's that?
And maybe even get some of the talent over.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great, especially the ones you needed. I mean, obviously, guys like Okada and Tanahashi don't really need it, but if he can work with guys like Suzuki or Ishii or Sonata, that would be great. It would be great for everybody.
Although I would like to see a Rey Mysterio Okada match because it would introduce people who aren't familiar with New Japan to another great talent.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. All right. Well, what do you say we move on to New Beginning in Sapporo Night 2?
Sure. So what? How many minutes are we in before we actually got to it?
Only about 20 or so. Again, we're on that JR kick. But
okay, no problem.
So what did you think of Night 2 overall?
It was better than Night 1, I felt.
I have to agree.
Mm-hmm. The matches were shorter by and large. The pacing by and large was better. I had my critiques of certain things that happened on the show. I actually felt that the best match of the night was not the last match, which was last night. I said there was a tie for the best match. It was the last two matches, but this night I actually felt that the second to last match was the best match of the night. Not that the last one wasn't great, but we'll get to the details of those later.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the pacing was a lot better. It had more of that big pay-per-view feel. It didn't really have a lot of it didn't drag. I felt like there was a couple matches I felt where there was a little bit, it dragged a bit. There's a little bit of a lull, but not really as much as in Night 1. It kept me, I have to say, on a whole, more entertained and more I was focused on it much more on a whole than I was Night 1.
Well, I agree with you. And I also agree that there were some lulls. To be honest, there was one match on the card I wish they had just not put on the card.
Well, when we get to that match, let us know.
I will.
All right. So, opening match, we have
the match I wish they did put on the card.
Oh, this is it. Okay. Well, Juice Robinson is taking on the young lion Katsuya Kitamura. what did you think of this match? Well, that's kind of a moot point right now. You already kind of gave us part of your opinion of what
Yeah.
you thought of this match. But other
Okay.
than other than other than wishing this match wasn't on the card, what did you think of this match?
Well, let's see. We have Katsuya Kitamura, and the more I think of him, the more I think he's a Japanese Lesnar clone with weird vampire teeth.
Okay.
And he's got some of the Lesnar-like mannerisms down pat, especially like the jumping up and down mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, this guy is green.
Yeah.
And it shows. I mean, God bless Michael Elgin. He really hit it in night one, but in night two, my gosh, Juice Robinson, he ain't too bad a worker from what I saw in this match, but he ain't carrying this guy to a great match.
No. I mean, Juice Robinson is a pretty decent worker from what I've seen of Juice in New Japan and other promotions as well.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he works ROH. But Katsura Kitamura, I have to say, the more I see this guy, the more I don't like him. Which is rare for me to say about a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the opposite effect about a couple of wrestlers later on in the card. But we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we know where the juice was, and it wasn't in Robinson. Yeah. Kitamura, I'm not saying that this guy is juicing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to start any controversy.
Mm-hmm.
But not trying to start any controversy by accusing anyone of using anabolic steroids. But if all I would say is, if anyone is using anabolic steroids, it's this guy, and he's using all of them.
Well, let me say this. I actually love his look. It reminded me of the wrestlers from the late 80s. I love that look. I really do. And maybe it's the kid in me because I grew up watching wrestling in that era. I don't care if my wrestlers are weighted up. I know that's a controversial thing to believe, but this ain't pro sports in the sense where you get a competitive advantage by having roids in you, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, I suppose you could say it might give you a competitive advantage in terms of getting over because you have a better look, you know? But I don't know. Point is, I like how this guy looks sans the vampire teeth. If I could get the I'm sorry, you first. Mm-hmm. Get the vampire teeth off this dude.
Or at least go all the way with the vampire thing and like give him a hood and makeup and like give him like have him like come down in a casket. Go all makes sense. Him having I feel it doesn't make sense, I feel, with him having just the teeth. He's like a normal guy, a normal muscular guy who for some reason has vampire teeth, and the vampire teeth thing doesn't to me make any sense. Now, maybe if I knew more about the guy, maybe if I knew more about the style, maybe if I knew more about Japanese wrestling in general, I would understand why he has vampire teeth, but I just don't understand why he has vampire teeth. Either get rid of the vampire teeth or pull the trigger on the vampire teeth and go all the way and give him a vampire gimmick, because right now he doesn't really have a gimmick. He's just a big guy who comes out in black tights and moves his pectoral muscles around, and for some godforsaken reason has friggin' vampire teeth.
If this guy can actually show that he can move like Lesnar and actually maybe have like wrestling type skills, like is in like Greco-Roman wrestling type skills, and be like a mat worker, he could be a valuable asset to the roster. Because I'm not against Lesnar clones, to be honest. If they can go in that way, and if you're a great mat wrestler and you want to kind of do an homage to Lesnar and your gimmick to a certain extent with maybe a little bit of flair, I ain't gonna complain.
Sure.
Because I like that style of wrestling. I really do.
Yeah.
But this, like I said, this guy's green.
No, he's very green. He's very green. And outside of like a decent lariat, he doesn't really have much. And
Yeah.
and his lariat just is stiff. But Juice Robinson won in 9/16.
This match was fun for what this guy's talents were, or lack thereof, I should say.
Oh, wow.
See, they should have protected this guy, this Katsuya Kitamura. What they should have done is have him get his strong spots in quickly, then a few high spots by Juice Robinson, and then they should have. This match shouldn't have been more than 4 or 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So this match, I think, went 4 or 5 minutes longer than it should have.
I agree. My first thought was, when is this guy going to win a match? Because this is now his third outing. I believe the first one was at New Year's Dash, and then night 1 in Sapporo, now night 2. He has lost all 3 matches. Now, granted, yes, Daniel Bryan in NXT did not win a single match. Daniel Bryan did not win one match when Miz was his pro in NXT. So maybe they're building him up. Maybe they're going to give him like a Daniel Bryan type of underdog story. But
that's hard to do when you're kind of a Lesnar clone.
Yeah, we cared about Daniel Bryan. Not saying that there are people who care about Tetsuya Kitamura outside of Tetsuya Kitamura's immediate family, but yeah, we're burying this guy, aren't we?
We are.
But and maybe unfairly, but give him a win. I really hope he wins his next match. I always say that. I really hope he wins.
I actually thought he was going to win this match, and so when suddenly Jensen did a few moves and he won, I was like,
"What?
Well, I know. My thinking.
It didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to have him lose again, unless the plan is to have him, get really discouraged and then win 4, 5, 6, 7. And okay, he won 4 out of his 7 matches. So maybe this was his last loss.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we review New Beginning in Osaka.
Yes.
Anyway. All right. So moving on, we have Suzuki Gun taking on Jushin Thunder Liger, Taguchi, and Tiger Mask. Thoughts on this match?
This wasn't such a bad match. Didn't they have this match on night 1 as well?
Yeah, it was a very similar match, and I definitely felt like they were not copying the form. Actually, no, that was a 5-on-5. That was 5-on-5 match, night 1. This was 4-on-4, but I definitely felt like they were reflecting the format of night 1. I was kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. This is going to basically be a copy of night 1 with different guys. But the story of this match was Taka Michinoku was protecting his girlfriend, and instead of her taking all of the beating, she was protected. And then, of course, well, in the end, Suzuki Gun wound up going over. I'm sorry. Thoughts on this match? They cut you off.
Let's see. Well, to be honest, I kept thinking about, that Abe girl. Yeah. I was surprised by her for a good chunk of the match.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm telling something about the match when I'm kind of drooling over the girl ringside rather than the match itself.
Right.
These guys ain't half bad, but it just kind of felt like. Did I say this about the match last review? Was this the one that I thought was kind of like a clusterfuck?
Yes, yes, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, it was less clusterfucky than night one, but it kind of felt like a clusterfuck.
Yeah, to me,
um,
no, go on.
yeah, go on.
No,
No, I mean, that's kind of how I felt about this. The only thing is, Abe featured more prominently, and because she featured more prominently in this match, I kind of enjoyed it more than last week or night one, which I saw last week.
right.
Yes.
Okay. I felt like to me this match was just there.
Yeah.
There, it took up space on the card. It was a match, and it was a little too much like the match that we saw night one.
Mm-hmm.
With of course, the story being Taka and Ave. Ave, that is that her name? Ave.
Abe something. In fact, let's see if I
Ave.
can get her name
Okay.
on here.
But yeah, I felt like this match was just there. As I already mentioned, Suzuki Gun went over, and then at the end of the match, they leave the ring, and Taka Michinoku grabs the microphone by ringside, one of the announcers, mics, and says, "They broke my ass. She broke my heart, but also my ass. My ass is broken, and my heart is broken."
Yeah, Miho Abe is the girl's name, and
Okay, Miho, right? Miho.
yes, and if you do a Google search, especially a Google image search, let's just say it's
All
quite
right.
an enjoyable search.
Well, you can do whatever you want with those pictures off the air, but we have a pay-per-view to get through here, and even though you're not on camera, well, I don't want to know what you're doing. Anyway, just save it for after the show. That's all I'm saving. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. So this just became Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
So yeah. Something else about this pay-per-view and I started noticing early was Kevin Kelly and Don Callis were much more intolerable, at least to me, during this show.
Mm-hmm.
They use way too many inside terms. The pay window. Yeah, pay window and um, things like that. Pay window came up a lot. Oh, why did they go home? Why does he keep saying go home? Oh, he's got go home heat. I'm like, oh my god, stop it. This is supposed to be a wrestling show. Also, they actually acknowledged that only 95% of the arena was sold out. WWE would never do that. They'd be like, that's a sold out crowd, even if you could see like 75% of the arena was empty. They'd be saying it's a sold out crowd.
Well, to that first, I actually didn't notice that they said that, but to their credit, I do think they mentioned back in night one that the show was taking place during a blizzard. So,
right.
so inclement weather might have had something to do with it. And had they mentioned that so many people had showed up in inclement weather, I don't think it would have been as so bad.
True, but they could have still said, "Wow, there's a blizzard outside," and still it's a sellout, and we would have never known that it was not a sellout.
Good point.
Kayfabe, in other words.
No, I hear you. Yeah, because if it weren't for the announcers, New Japan does a really decent job in our modern age of preserving kayfabe to a certain extent.
Yeah,
compared to WWE anyway.
Right, they do. Except when Jericho posts pictures online, with Kenny Omega, when they're like, "Hey, we just had a horrific match last night, but now we're buddies." That kind of grinded my gears a bit. But anyway, that's for another podcast.
Okay.
Because that's my views on kayfabe are, I guess you can say a little bit old school. But yeah, getting back to the announcers, it just to me felt more like two guys who were just hanging out, having a conversation, than two guys who were on the air broadcasting a wrestling show. Um, did you notice that they went out of their way to bury Cornette?
No, actually.
Yeah, it was during, I believe, the Young Bucks match when they, I think it was Don Callis. It might have, I forget who it was, if it was Callis or Kevin Kelly, who said, there are a lot of old, out of touch guys who don't like the Young Bucks and blah blah blah. And it was a pretty obvious knock at Cornette.
Well, you know what? And it's interesting that you bring this up. And I'm noticing that when bad commentary is on my wrestling TV, I've noticed that I've learned to tune them out. So I'm realizing I'm not hearing a good chunk of what they're saying because it's so bad. I've learned to unconsciously block them out.
That's interesting.
It is, but it also concerns me because will I still be doing that when good commentary finally arrives? That I've come to the point where I'm trained to kind of almost ignore that the commentary is there.
Yeah. Watch a match that's called by Mauro Ranallo or Corey Graves and test that.
Well, you know what? It's interesting to bring that up because the announce team on NXT is actually pretty decent.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and so is the announce team on ROH. I feel as well. Ian and Cole Cabana.
Yeah, they're not annoying.
No, they're not. Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, however, I think I texted this to you actually while I was watching the show. I said, "This is actually so bad. I'm considering going to Japanese commentary for the next show." I was half joking when I said that, but
I know.
But it's like, if it's so bad, I would rather have commentary that I don't understand. That's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I felt like, again, it was just two guys having a conversation, not two guys calling a wrestling show. It seemed more like I was overhearing two friends in a bar have a conversation about wrestling. Not good.
No, not good at all.
But anyway, moving on with the show. We have a few more matches here to review.
Yes, we. So I guess what the next one is.
Chaos versus Bullet Club.
Yeah. Is that Chaos?
This was Ishii and Yano. Yep.
Let's see. Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, Tonga, and Tonga Loa versus.
No, that was the match before. This is match 3. No, wait. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I skipped ahead. My bad.
Okay.
My bad.
Follow the format, pal. Damn it. So we have Ishii and Yano taking on Bullet Club.
Okay, I'll tell you why I kind of skipped ahead because I just realized that this must have been like a subconscious thing, but this match was forgettable.
Really?
Yes.
I sort of enjoyed this match.
Well, okay.
I didn't think it was a great match, but it only went 6:16, but I felt like it was somewhat enjoyable.
It was because I like Ishii, but I really didn't care much for the other tag team, which was what's it called? Hikaru and Yujiro. Yeah. Maybe it's because I still don't know enough about them.
Okay.
Now, Tanahashi, the guy who at big pay-per-views actually walks down the ring with scantily clad women.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, he'd be a lot more interesting if he came down on a regular basis with scantily clad women.
So, first you're looking at Abe.
Yes.
Right? And now you're wishing that there was more scantily clad women. I think that 90s Attitude Era might be more for you, Nick. Do you remember the hose? Remember the hoe train and Godfather used to come down with the hose?
Yeah, I was never much of a fan of the hose, though.
I want to make that a sound clip. I just want to. That's going to be my ringtone. I keep saying I was never much of a fan of the hose. Anyway, all right. So moving on, there really isn't much to say about this match.
No.
Yeah, let's move on to Bullet Club, which is Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa taking on Hiroyoshi, Tenzin, Nakanishi, and Makabe.
Well, it was a good match, I felt. Maybe like a solid C plus, maybe B minus match.
Okay.
I was entertained. I definitely was. And gosh, I wish they could figure out something concerning the rights for Togi Makabe's entrance music, because this seems to be his faction that came out. And right now, when they come out on American television or anybody streaming it in America, they won't hear anything. And the reason for that is in Japan, he comes out to Immigrant Song, which is a badass song. And how much more interesting an experience would that have been had we got to hear that?
Oh, definitely. It's kind of like when WWE paid once to use Enter Sandman for ECW One Night Stand, and then well, it wasn't silence. If you watch it on the network now, it's not silence, but it's a terrible version of Enter Sandman, where it's just basically dun 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 dun, and that is the Sandman's ECW theme. If you watch the network version. Yeah, it would definitely be very cool if they can get. By the way, just to preface, Nick and I watched this with the on the New Japan World app. So if you watch on the New Japan World app, or I guess if you watch the Access show as well, you won't get to hear that song.
Although I haven't watched it on Access, but it wouldn't shock me because it's an edited product on Access that maybe they air like some maybe Immigrant Song knockoff when they come out.
Right. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, this match was pretty crazy. It was all over the place. There was a lot going on. They fought in the crowd. They fought. There was a lot of high spots. There was a lot of. It was a fun match. I felt like it was a fun match overall. And part of this match, what made it enjoyable for me, was watching the cameraman try to keep up with everything that was going on. Because this match was, no pun intended, chaos. Even though this is not a chaos match. But it was chaos, and it was kind of enjoyable because over here, you would have Chase Owens going at it with Maccabee, and then then they would cut over, and Tonga Loa would be beating up Nakanishi. So this match was all over the place, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and the camera, it just reminded me of like old school WWF, or even like WCW or ECW, where it's like the cameraman has to keep up with the action.
Yeah, and that's fun actually.
Yeah, definitely. So of course, Bullet Club went over, and anything else you want to say about this match?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. So moving on, we have Suzuki Gun, which is Minoru Suzuki, and Takashi taking. Oh no, I'm sorry. Taking on Hanare and Michael Elgin. Originally, this was supposed to be Tanahashi in this spot, but of course, as we know, Tanahashi was injured, and injured by Minoru Suzuki in night one. in storyline, but also out of storyline. So Henare took his spot. Thoughts on this match?
Well, I remember you texting me while you were watching this pay-per-view that you suspected that maybe it really is a work that what's his name has a hurt knee, Tanahashi.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the case, it's brilliant booking on the part of the New Japan bookers to have yanked him from the New Japan tour so that he didn't appear on the Road to New Beginnings tour, which happened in between Night 2 and also New Beginnings in Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't think he was on the New Beginnings show in Osaka, unless I'm mistaken. But granted, I haven't seen that yet. But, that's how you book a kayfabe injury, if in fact it's a kayfabe injury.
Right.
You yank a guy from the shows.
Right. It's great booking, and I was half expecting him to show up too. I was half expecting him to show up and be like, it's Tanahashi. Oh, he's injured, but here he is just to get revenge on Suzuki, and that didn't happen. And that's when I started thinking, oh, maybe it's not a work.
Yeah, or you know what it could be? Maybe he's hurt, but not as badly as they're portraying it, and so they're just trying to save his body. So for when they actually want to use him for a big match,
right?
Which is also
right.
And I have not, sorry, you first.
I have not read any spoilers for Osaka yet.
Neither have I. So, this match was very good, I felt, actually, and you and I seem to be of the same mind. Suzuki Gun, in particular, Minoru Suzuki, is really growing on me as a character, and I enjoyed his work in this match. I also enjoyed Michael Elgin's work in this match. Tora Henare, his partner, was kind of just there. I mean, he wasn't great, he wasn't horrible, just, like I said, he was kind of there. Suzuki's partner, Takahashi Lizuka, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yep.
What can I say about him? He's like a Japanese wild man, and
yeah,
I don't really care for the gimmick.
Okay.
Yes.
I might support
match, but I don't like the wild man gimmick. At least not in the way that's portrayed here.
Not a fan of wild man Mark Merrow?
No, to be honest, the only example of a wild man actually there were two examples of a wild man gimmick that I enjoyed. When I was a kid, I liked Kamala, but mind you, I was a kid. And as an adult, I liked Umanga. And that's about the extent of wild man gimmicks that I've ever enjoyed.
Okay. What about the Ultimate Warrior? I would consider that a wild man gimmick.
Is it a wild man gimmick?
What about his WCW counterpart, Renegade? It's Renegade. They couldn't afford Warrior.
Well, here's the thing. Was Warrior a wild man gimmick or just a crazy man gimmick?
Probably crazy man. What about Texas Tornado?
I'm sorry, what?
What about Texas Tornado? Was that a wild man gimmick?
No, just a roided up guy who likes to run a gimmick.
There's wild man gimmick, and then there's cocaine up gimmick, I guess. Man, I'm gonna get so much heat for this podcast. This is gonna be the podcast where I accuse Kitamura of using steroids. I'm accusing other guys from the 80s of using cocaine. They were using cocaine. This is the podcast that gets me in a lot of trouble. Well, we did 9, and 9 was good. So it won't be a number 10. I'm sorry, everybody. This match I felt would have been a lot better if it were Tanahashi. Not again, you can't do anything about that. Nari did a fine job, but He was just there. If it were Michael Elgin, who I'm not a fan of, by the way, I'm not a Michael Elgin fan, but if it were Elgin and Tanahashi, you can do the thing where Suzuki and Tanahashi face off, and Tanahashi gets revenge for night one. I'm sure that's coming down the line. I'm sure that's coming at some point. But yeah, it would have been better, in my opinion, if it were Tanahashi. Would have kept my interest a bit more. And didn't they also brawl on the outside in this match, or was that the LIJ match?
No, they did brawl a bit outside.
Yeah, I felt like why didn't the agent of this match get together with the agent of the last match and be like, all right, so then you guys are going to brawl to the outside. We're doing that in our match. Okay, don't brawl to the outside in this match. I felt like if they're going to brawl in this match, don't brawl in the first match.
There was a lot of brawling to the outside in almost every match on this card.
Yeah, it was a lot of brawling. I don't think the next match had brawling, though.
No, I don't think it did, actually, now that you mention it.
Yeah.
There were a few spots out on the outside of the ring, but I don't think it was like brawling outside the ring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that these two matches, and I don't think that the 8-man tag had brawling, but these two matches definitely had brawling. But the two brawling matches were back to back, so that I didn't really get. All right, so moving on, if we may, to the next match. Unless there was anything else you wanted to say about this match.
No, I think I said everything I'm going to say about it.
All right. Moving on, Bullet Club, which is Cody, Hangman Page, and Marty Scurll, defeated David Finlay, Kota Ibushi, and Kushida. Oh, by the way, before we get into this match, who was that made the save at the end of the last match? Who was that who came out and made the save for Elgin and Hanare?
Oh yeah, that was that Togi Makabe?
That was Makabe.
Yeah, yes, it was Togi Makabe because he. Yes, right. I remember this now because I was thinking, did he come in? Didn't he fight earlier in this pay-per-view? And then I was like, oh yeah, he was in the previous match.
Yeah, he was in the 8-man tag, and then he made the save. So it looks like maybe they're building towards maybe Suzuki Makabe is going to be the angle while Tanahashi's hurt. Who knows?
Yeah, that could be interesting.
That could be good. That could be.
Yeah.
All right. So Bullet Club, Cody, Hangman Page, and Marty Scurll beat David Finlay, Kota Ibushi, and Kushida.
Yeah, this was a very entertaining match. I was really impressed with David Finlay. If he is legitimately Finlay's son, then yeah, he's definitely continuing in the footsteps of his dad. He's a great worker. Kota Ibushi was great in this match. Let's see, Kushida. He wasn't too bad either in this match. And of course, Cody and Hangman and Marty Scurll, they all were great in this match. And I love how they all work together. And well, I'm kind of a Bullet Club mark, so I enjoy a good deal of what they do. So this was a B+ match, in my opinion.
Wow. I don't know if I would give it a B+. Wait a second. There was brawling. I believe there was a bit of brawling in this match with Hangman Page on the outside. There was a tiny bit of brawling, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Oh man, brawling again. But yeah, I agree. This was a fun match. Don't know if I would go B+. I'd maybe give it a solid B. I'm a little. I love the Bullet Club. I know you love the Bullet Club, as you said, you're a Bullet Club mark, but I'm a little bit on Bullet Club overload now. after seeing their match from night one, which was a good match. They had great matches, or I should say, very good matches back to back, night one and night two. However, even though I love Marty Scurll, everybody knows I'm a Marty Scurll mark. I like Cody and Hangman Page. It's kind of there. But and I like Kota Ibushi as well. But um, on Bullet Club Overload. So it was an enjoyable match, fun match. Cody, Hangman, and Skrull work very well together. And we got to see, I think it was Ibushi and Cody face off, and that was a lot of fun. A lot of very stiff forearms in this match. I believe there's one spot where Cody and Ibushi were just exchanging forearms, and it was just incredibly stiff. And it was like, oh my god, these guys are just killing each other. And it went just over the 10-minute mark, but yeah, Kushida was just kind of there. I need to see more of David Finlay to really make an opinion, but yeah, it was an enjoyable match. I would say solid B.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it was a little better than a B, but it was definitely enjoyable.
Okay, yeah, definitely enjoyable. All right, so next we have LIJ, which is Bushi, Evil, and Takahashi. I'm sorry, this is a 10-man tag. It's Bushi, Evil, Takahashi, and Sonata, and Naito, taking on Geto, Goko, Okada, Will Ospreay, and Yoshihashi. What are your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
I think that this was a great match, actually. Having said that, though, I kind of felt that that LIJ seems to have a lot more star power than Chaos did in this match. But maybe I'm feeling that way because I'm not as familiar with some of the wrestlers in Chaos. I mean, I know about Will Ospreay, and of course, I know who Geto is, who consequently is the booker.
Right.
and I know Okada, but let's see here. Yoshi Hanashi. I mean, it's just kind of there. Whereas I really like LIJ. LIJ is just they're a great stable, and to think that they started in CMLL as just LI, I guess you could say, and this is the Japanese offshoot. I mean, it's a very good stable in my opinion. In fact, I actually think they're the second best stable in the company after Bullet Club.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I like LIJ. I'm an LIJ fan myself. I'm a slightly bigger Suzuki Gun fan, but yeah, I like LIJ. I'm a big Sonata fan. And I actually made a mistake in the last match. It was not Cody and Ibushi who were exchanging forearms. It was actually in this match, and it was Sonata and Okada who were exchanging forearms, very stiff forearms in this match. I made a slight mistake. I was not remembering quite as clearly as I would like to have been. But yeah, this was a pretty good match. Again, Okada and Sonata facing off, which is a singles match that we're going to get at some point in the future. I like this match because it wasn't a flippy-do fest by Will Ospreay. In fact, I don't really think that Ospreay did very much in this match. He was really not too involved and was sort of like more of a background player in this match. And I, not that I'm not a Will Ospreay fan, but I like that it wasn't, the Will Ospreay show just because it had to be.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, when you have guys like Okada and Sonata and Takahashi and Naito in the
Mm-hmm.
match, they're big names. So yeah, when I heard at the beginning of the show that one of the matches tonight was going to be LIJ versus Chaos, I have to say I was expecting a little bit more than I got in this match. You right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I was expecting a little bit more than what we got in this match, and I would have liked if this match were about one or two matches up the card, or I should say down the card. If it were a little bit earlier, if maybe it was before the Bullet Club match and maybe before the Suzuki Gun match, I would have enjoyed this match a bit more because it would have been a little bit earlier on the card before a couple of the other matches kind of dragged it down a little bit. This, I think, would have been like a good 2 or 3. Make it the really exciting match, and then kind of do the Chaos match and the Bullet Club match to sort of calm the crowd down a bit.
Hmm. Yeah, you might be right on that. But having said all that, though, I think this worked well in building up the feud for Okada versus Sonata for the title that's going to happen at New Beginnings Osaka. And it was a good feud builder, this match.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's something I find interesting. Who's the leader of LIJ?
I believe that the leader of LIJ, if I'm not mistaken, is probably Naito. Yeah, Naito is the leader of LIJ. Naito is the leader because he was the one who formed LIJ
Mm-hmm.
after, well, it was LI and then became LIJ. So, so Naito is the leader.
So, Naito is the leader, but who's challenging for the world title from LIJ?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Did that thought occur to you while you were watching this match?
It didn't while I was watching this match, but now that you mention it, it does kind of make sense because Naito is going to be working with Jericho. So if they do Naito and Jericho on the same show that they do Okada and Sonata, that could be a pretty big show.
That's true, but I don't think that happened. I don't think Jericho was on the match in New Beginnings.
No. I don't mean in New Beginnings. I mean when they eventually do Jericho and Naito, they're going to do it probably on the same show that Sonata challenges for the world title.
Well, his challenges at New Beginning Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
So that match happened. I just don't know who won yet.
Right.
Yeah. Having said that, though, granted, New Beginning Osaka happens, but we haven't seen it yet. But that's just for the sake of argument. Imagine if Sonata did win on Osaka, New Beginnings. Now, I don't know if he did or not, but that would be an interesting scenario because a guy has the world title in a stable who ain't the leader.
True.
Didn't we see that happen once before in WWE with a group called Evolution?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what I think you're saying, if I'm reading you correctly, is that we might see Sonata lifted up on the shoulders of Takahashi, Evil, and Bushi, and then Naito giving him the command to drop him.
Basically.
Huh. And then Sonata possibly. Well, that would make Sonata a face, though.
I suppose, and only that he'd be at odds with his own tag partner, so who knows what that would do for the tag titles. But
True.
That could be an interesting storyline.
It could. Well, you heard it here first, folks. If that does happen, then yeah, you definitely called it live on the air on YouTube, and
Yes.
no one could deny that.
Well, maybe they could, because maybe they might think we're lying, and because after all, New Beginning Osaka did happen just last night, and
That's true.
maybe we did see it, and we're lying about seeing it, which isn't the case. But
well, we could be, but
Mhm.
there'd be no reason to do that, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And look at Nick's face. Does that look like a face that would lie to you? Just look at that clean, even masterpiece. Not Chris Masters. This guy was the original Master. I'm putting you over now. I don't know why. But yeah, that would be a great call if that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving on to the next match. It is Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo taking on the Young Bucks for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this match?
Match of the night.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's, to be honest, it's one of the best tag matches I've seen in quite some time. I mean, I'm drawing blanks in terms of thinking of a tag match that was this good.
I agree.
This was a solid A match. Not A+, because I'm trying to be reserved in what matches I give an A+ to, but this was a great example of how you have a combination of work rate, flip-de-doos, and storytelling all in one match.
I agree. I completely agree. There's actually one thing I forgot about the last match, which I want to throw in real quick, which was after the match. We didn't hear Sonata talk in night one, and if he was going to answer Okada's challenge. But in this match, after the match, Sonata grabbed the mic and said, "I'll do my talking in the ring." So
yes,
there was that. All right. So I definitely agree with this one. This was probably match of the night. I don't know if I liked it more than the main event. I would say it was a very, 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 very close second to me.
it was the second best match of the night.
Yes.
So I'm guessing you felt the main event was a better match.
Slightly like A and A1.
Oh wow, we're gonna radically disagree on this then.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
That'll make for a good radio. So what did you like about this match?
Well, like I said before, it was a perfect, almost perfect combination of work rate, flip-de-doos, and storytelling. I especially loved how early in the match, was it Nick or Matt who seems to have suffered a back injury?
That was Matt.
Matt. So Matt, he got a back injury, and it steadily got worse as the match went on. And it played a factor in them ultimately losing because Matt was the one who was pinned, and he wasn't pinned in a particularly spectacular way, and under normal circumstances, he probably would have been able to kick out. But because his back was so effed up come that point in the match, it made sense storytelling-wise why he couldn't kick out.
Definitely makes sense. And Matt, for those of you who didn't see the match, took a very bad drop on the apron. And as Nick already mentioned, the injury just got worse and worse as the match went on. Had a huge welt on his back. That welt was just ridiculous. And I mean, it was blue. It looked like the Cookie Monster. Like it was bad. And Matt, not sure if Matt was really as hurt as he let on, but it really seemed like he couldn't do much in the early goings of this match, and he kind of left Nick to do a lot of the fighting in the beginning of this match after the drop on the apron.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, well,
but mhm.
well, I was convinced that he wasn't as badly hurt as he was letting on in the storytelling of the match, because there were a few times where he picked up his opponent, and I'm like, if he was legit as hurt as he was trying to show he was in the storytelling, he wouldn't have been able to pick up the guy. So, yeah, did that welt feel great on his back? Probably not, but he wasn't as hurt as the storytelling that they were doing. In fact, I think that they went in with the purposes of telling this story of a hurt back.
Yes, because even the announcers mentioned early on that he was going in with a tweaked back, and then he took the drop on the apron. So, who knows? It could have been a planned spot. It could have been, the story going into this match. That could have been it. But it was still great storytelling, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a kayfabe injury or a shoot injury, that it made for a great match. It made for great storytelling.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Roppongi 3K, at least with that crowd in Sapporo, is massively over.
Yeah, I was actually not a Roppongi 3K fan going into this match,
Mm-hmm.
and I came out a Roppongi 3K fan.
Same here.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I actually. Oh, by the way, Roppongi 3K had Ricky Romero on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
and Ricky Romero was cheering them on. But during their entrance, I was just kind of like, "Oh, this gimmick is so bad. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is such a bad gimmick. This is just awful." They
Mm-hmm.
have their gimmick is that they're a boy band. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of the match, I was like, "Yeah, I really like Roppongi 3K.
Mm-hmm.
Not as good as Taguchi. I think it was Taguchi singing his own entrance theme, which was pretty cool. Taguchi is kind of, if I have it right, it was Taguchi that sang his own entrance theme. But no, I'm sorry, it was Kanemaru. It's Kanemaru who sung his own entrance theme.
Oh, you're talking about that Japanese guy who has a hot Asian girl
Yes.
as his manager?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And he came down with the microphone. He's basically the Japanese R-Truth.
Yes.
Um,
Only he's actually singing when he comes down to the ring.
he's actually singing, and he's sort of half doing the Phantom of the Opera gimmick. But yeah, I felt like this match was incredible match. Not match of the night, but very, 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 very close. In my opinion. But great match. As you already said, one of the best tag matches I've seen in a long time. Again, leave it to the Young Bucks, whose shirt I'm wearing right now, actually. You can't see if I'm wearing a Young Buck shirt. To have one of the best tag team matches I've seen in a long time. Show and Yo, Roppongi 3K just had a great showing. Lots of super kicks all around. Lots of working the back by Show and Yo after the injury. They really sold the back. There was one spot where Matt was holding, I think, Yo on the outside by his legs, and he was like, Nick, hurry up, my back. So I don't know if that was kayfabe or not, but Nick did a swanton to the outside, and then they did the same on the inside to Yo, another swanton, and after spot that they did, Matt sold the back.
Mm.
And the back was really like the big story in this match, as I said. But unfortunately, it ended with I believe it was a small package.
Yeah, it was a small
And,
package.
yeah, and Shonen kicked out of multiple super kicks, and then it ended with a small package. And Shonen Roppongi 3K are the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to comment on in terms of how brilliantly they sold the back. There was a point in time when Matt Jackson had one of these boy band guys. I don't know if it was Show or Yo. He had him in a sharpshooter, and he had him in the middle of the ring. And multiple times he was able to drag him back to the middle of the ring, and it looks like he was so close to tapping. But then eventually he let go of the hold because it was too painful for him to hold on to the hold.
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant. You're this close to victory, and then you let it go because you just couldn't hold on to it anymore because it was too painful.
Right.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, that's kayfabe, right?
Absolutely. But then there was that other spot where Matt was in a hold, and he just like powered over to the ropes. And I was kind of like, okay, you can barely hold on to a hold, but when you're in a hold, you just like power over on your elbows to the ropes. So that to me was kind of a little
No, I grant you it was kind of Hoganish, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I can live with it a little bit. I can live with a bit of Hoganish in my wrestling.
Of course you could.
Yeah, because I'm a fan of the yellow and red freak.
Right.
Yes.
Speaking of steroids and cocaine, he admitted it in his book.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, incredible match.
Mm-hmm.
Great showing by both teams. Roppongi 3K, I definitely think that even though we're bound to see a rematch, because at the end of the match, even Ricky Romero said, sure, we'll give them a rematch. I was kind of like, no, what are you doing? Like, no, you don't agree to a rematch immediately after winning the titles, especially without your team's consent. Sure, you are their manager. I don't know if Ricky Romero is their official manager or not. But if I were showing I'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you agreeing to a rematch already? We just freaking won, know. But yeah, I would like to see Roppongi 3K have a decent run with the junior heavyweight tag titles.
Well, to be honest with me, to be honest with you, I should say, I agree with you with Roppongi 3K having the junior tag titles for a while. In fact, to be honest, spoiler alert, since it seems like they're moving on to a Bullet Club Civil War, I want to see the Young Bucks finally move out of the junior tag division and into the main tag division. And actually I don't think they've ever won the regular tag titles in New Japan. And I'd like to see them do that finally.
Okay. That would be very interesting to see.
It would, especially if they were to feud with who the current tag champs in New Japan are, which is Sonata and Evil.
Right.
That could be an interesting match.
Yes, it could. Definitely.
All right. You think we're ready for the main event?
Yep. Let's move on to the main event. We have the Cleaner, Kenny Omega, defending his IWGP United States Championship. Yes, he is Canadian, but he's still the United States champion. Defending against a New Zealander, Switchblade Jay White.
I half liked this match.
Wow.
The way I would describe this match is we had one guy who put in an A+ performance going up against a guy who put in A C performance.
Who did you feel put in a C performance?
Jay White.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I was not impressed with Jay White's performance in this match. He was okay as far as I was concerned. I mean, for most of this match, it seemed like a squash, to be honest. And then Jay White all of a sudden puts together a few moves at the end, and then he wins. I mean, I understand why they did this. Well, this was the catalyst for what happened after the match. But I felt how they got to creating this catalyst was forced.
Well, you did have Omega, what's it called? You did have him reversing Jay White's finisher. And he actually did take one. I believe his finisher is called Switchblade, I believe.
Took it twice, actually.
Yeah, he took it twice.
He kicked out the first time, and he didn't kick out the second time.
Right, but he did go for it 3 times.
Yes.
He went for it once, and Omega escaped. And then I believe he went for the One Wing Angel, and then Jay White reversed that, and then went for his finisher, Switchblade. But it was, I'm sorry, Blade Runner. Blade Runner. Went for Blade Runner, and then which kind of reminds me of his sister Abigail, to be honest. Like, it's set up like his sister Abigail. But every time he sets up for that move, I'm like, why doesn't he kiss him on the head before he does a Blade Runner? But anyway, that's Bray Wyatt's thing, not Jay White. So it did take 2 Blade Runners to put him away.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure out how he ever got back on his feet to do those 2 Blade Runners when basically he had been beaten down to into a mud hole, basically, and then miraculously came out of it.
Yeah, it was. Maybe the psychology wasn't exactly there during this match.
No, I mean, this is a great example of bad storytelling in a match.
But Omega was so good.
What?
Omega was so good.
Oh, yeah, Omega was great. Yeah, that's what I said. It's a story of it's almost like a tale of 2 cities, except it's a tale of 2 wrestlers. You know what I mean? Jay White does not feel like a champion, and that's why I didn't.
I see a lot from Jay White.
I mean, he seems like he could be a great champion. It's just that the way they paced this match, where it seemed so one-sided for most of the match, and then Jay White does the miracle comeback and wins. It just didn't feel right the way they went about it. In fact, I'm going to give you my letter grade now to give you a sense of just how unhappy I was with this match. I'm going to give it a B-.
Wow.
Now, the match, not what happened afterwards. What happened afterwards was A+ material. But the match itself was a B-. Although Kenny's performance in this match was A+.
Yes, Kenny was definitely A+. Which is when you said that one performer put in a C performance, I was like, oh, if he says Omega, I'm gonna flip. But because if that's Omega at a C, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. The psychology, as I said, wasn't exactly all there, but I felt like it was sort of like a clash of styles as well. Jay White and Kenny Omega don't really wrestle the same. I think Jay White would do much better against like a Will Ospreay or somebody like that. Because I don't really feel like Jay White wrestles like the style of match that Kenny Omega wrestles, which is like long and the long game, basically. Kenny Omega wrestles matches that are the long game type of matches. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
really feel like Jay White is suited to wrestle those type of matches.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's suited for more shorter matches. But I didn't really feel it was incredibly one-sided. You have Jay White going, as I said before, going for Blade Runner, and then Omega fighting out, and then kicking out of the first Blade Runner, and then eventually Jay White getting him with the second. I didn't really feel it was all that one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you feel that it was is more one-sided?
Well, it felt like for 2/3 of the match, it was all Kenny Omega and him getting in his offense and just stomping this guy into a mud hole. Yet for some reason he still kept kicking out. You know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny never got his final finisher in. What is it? That wing thingy, whatever
The
it's
one
called.
wing angel.
Yes, the one wing, the angel wing, the one. What's it called?
The one wing angel. Yeah, he didn't get that in. You're right. He did not get that in. Jay White got in 2 Blade Runners, and he went for 3. And Kenny did not get one wing angel in.
Yes. In fact, I would call it the story of the man who refused to be pinned. You know, right?
Yeah, in a way, but I felt like it was still good storytelling. I felt like the storytelling was obviously not up there with Omega Okada or Omega Jericho, but
You want to know how it was good storytelling? Going into the match, they already established that Kenny Omega doesn't handle that finisher well, and that it was kind of miraculous that he kicked out of it the first time, and he was done after the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, I grant you that. But that he was ever able to come back from the brutal beating he got for the first 2/3 of the match, I'm like, I was like starting to think after a while, when will this one-sided beatdown end? And it took forever to end.
He did hit V-Trigger a couple of times.
Yeah, and then he went back to beating him down, right?
Yeah.
In
fact, you're right. He did not get his finisher off, but he did get V-Trigger off a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But after the match.
Now, after the match, we got... See, if WWE could do storytelling like this,
right,
we'd be back in the Attitude Era in terms of wrestling popularity.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But WWE seems incapable of this type of storytelling.
for now, yeah.
For now, yes. I loved that Cody Rhodes... Actually, first Hangman came down first.
Hangman came down first and took the belt away from Jay White.
Yes, and immediately he wanted to challenge for the U.S. title. Now that Kenny didn't have it, which shows you I think he's been itching for that belt for a while, but didn't want to challenge for it because Kenny had it. And now the second that it was off of Kenny, he wanted it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that Kenny, sportsman, he yanks the belt from
Hangman.
From Hangman, and then very forcefully gives it back to Jay White, and then kind of pats him on the shoulder afterwards. Right. And at that point in time, Hangman gets all confused. Cody comes marching down, starts barking, "It's his turn now! It's his turn! Why are you taking this moment away from Hangman?" You know, right? And that's when I started thinking, "Oh boy!"
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we have the Bucks coming down, and
Mm-hmm.
have Kenny, what looked like he accidentally pushed Matt. Well, actually, before that, then we have Marty coming down, and Marty seemed to be sort of the cooler head in this whole thing. It seemed like to me at least, Marty was sort of the not the negotiator. What's the word I want to say? The intermediary.
He was trying to de-escalate everything.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he failed miserably.
Yeah, he did. It was
Mm-hmm.
going well until Kenny accidentally pushed Matt, and then we have him saying it was an accident, it was an accident, and then he tries to shake Nick's hand, and of course Nick sides with Matt, and the Bucks leave, and then we have Cody and Kenny yelling at each other, and Cody's yelling, "You lost, your time is up." Um, he said something like, "It's not about being a leader. You're not the leader." Blah blah, something like that. Um, and then we have Marty again, just being neutral, kind of. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see that there's a lot of good in Marty. So that's why I think that if there is a Bullet Club Civil War, that Marty will probably be on the side of good, the side of Kenny, not on the side of Cody. And Hangman, I think, will go with Kenny. And
Well, I agree that Hangman's going with Cody, but we'll get to Marty Scurll in just a bit in terms of where I think he'll go.
mhm.
But as you were saying with the narrative, Marty Scurll looked like he was finally de-escalating everything. He managed to convince everybody to just let Cody and Kenny settle this, and we'll all go back. And so everybody exits the ring except Cody and Kenny, and it looks like they're about to make peace and go into the back, and then just as Kenny's going through the ropes, that's when Cody grabs onto him, and then boy, oh boy, did Cody snap.
Yeah, Cody hits Crossroads on Kenny,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we have the Bucks. No, I'm sorry. I believe it was Marty and Hangman back in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
and Cody gave the order to Marty and Hangman to pick up Kenny, so
Mm-hmm.
Cody can continue beating on Kenny, and Marty refuses to. Marty refuses to listen to, and Hangman as well, refuse to listen to Cody. I felt this was kind of like a no, we don't take orders from you type of thing. You're not the leader of Bullet Club. Kenny is.
Well, actually, no. You're right. Marty didn't hold him up. Hangman was hesitant at first, but then later did start to pick up Kenny and was about to hold him up when the save.
Ah, yes, the save. And who
Mm-hmm.
was the save?
Uh, his name is Ibushi, I believe, right?
Kota Ibushi. Yep. Kota
Mm-hmm.
Ibushi, former tag team partner of Kenny Omega when they were the Golden Lovers,
Mm-hmm.
comes in to make the save. And I love the symmetry here because at New Year's Dash, um, it was Kenny Omega saving Ibushi
Mm-hmm.
from chair shot from Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And now Ibushi is coming in, and he comes in and he makes the save. And I missed Hangman almost hesitantly picking Kenny up. I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
But Marty definitely refused. Marty refused. So again, I think that Marty, it's pretty clear, at least to me, where the battle lines have been drawn. But yeah, Ibushi comes in and he saves Kenny, and then we have Ibushi and Kenny in the ring, and at first Kenny refuses to shake Ibushi's hand, and then Ibushi turns Kenny around and they hug, and confetti was conveniently in the ceiling. Um,
Yes. Conveniently.
Yeah, that was so convenient.
Yes. It
And
was
you
almost
have,
knew it was going to happen.
yeah. I'm sure maybe they just put it there before every event, just in case something like this happens.
Yeah,
Maybe they're like, oh, tonight will be the night. Maybe tonight will be the night that Golden Lovers reunites. We better put confetti in the ceiling just in case.
It's just nice.
Kind of like you with the Cena heel turn.
I've got the bubbly on ice.
Yeah, so did Hillary. But for those of you who don't know, Nick has been holding out for a Cena heel turn. Wow, I think
The last Ice Age?
yeah, I think that the Cubs were waiting to win the World Series longer than Nick has been waiting for a Cena heel turn. But it's so yeah, so then we have Kenny and Ibushi hugging in the ring, confetti is coming down, and someone started cutting onions.
Yes.
Yes. It was an emotional moment. I got a little teary during that.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
That was a very emotional moment. And you know what's even more interesting? When you watch the Being the Elite video that came out after this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
I mean, if the end of New Beginnings in Sapporo didn't bring you to tears, the end of Being the Elite definitely would have.
Oh, yes. And if you haven't watched it yet, go watch the most recent episode of Being the Elite. I believe it's called Problem with the Bullet Club or something like that. If you go to Being the Elite's YouTube channel, you'll find it. When Kenny knocks on that door, I was like, oh, it's going to be Ibushi. Like, I felt like I was watching, like, This Is Us or something like that. Or, like, some other TV drama. It was so good. But then the door opens and we realize that it's not Ibushi behind the door because it's Ibushi sitting next to Kenny. And it's actually the Young Bucks behind the door. And Kenny and Ibushi enter. And we obviously Kenny, the Bucks, and Ibushi have something to talk about. Yeah. So where would you like to see the storyline go? Before we wrap up the pay-per-view, where would you like to see this Bullet Club storyline go?
Well, here's the thing. It's worth noting that that's not the most recent Being the Elite. I think that was the second to last Being the Elite, because then there was one afterwards,
right,
where it ends with
Matt having the flash forward. That's right.
Yeah.
Matt sees into the future. Yeah.
Yes, but here's my point. In that episode, I think it's in that episode, or maybe it was in the one with the Ibushi and Kenny Omega going to the hotel room. Point is, we get a really emotional Marty Scurll singing, what song did he sing?
Complicated. I will never hear that song the same way ever again.
Yeah. Well, you gotta go and make things so
complicated.
Well, point is, though, at the end of that, when he's looking painfully at a picture of the Bullet Club, he tears it in two. That's why I'm not convinced Marty Scurll is siding with Kenny. I think he's pained up by the breakup, but I think him tearing that up shows that he's made a decision as to who he's siding with.
You think he'll go with Hangman? You think he'll go with Hangman and Cody?
I do. I think he's going to go with Hangman and Cody in the end, but not immediately. I think he's going to play along as if he's on the side of Kenny and the Young Bucks and whatnot, and Ibushi. But in the end, he's going to turn on them. To be honest, I think they're all going to turn on him in the end, including Ibushi.
Well, I definitely think that we'll see, at least initially, Kenny, Ibushi, Marty, and the Bucks on one side, and Cody, Hangman, probably Bad Luck Fale, Tonga, and Toa on the other side.
Maybe. However it goes down, it's going to be a fun ride if they do it right.
It's going to be a very fun ride. Battle lines have been drawn. There will be a civil war. That was the end of the last Being the Elite episode. Was we see Coach and Ian talking about civil war in the Bullet Club, and
main eventing Super Card of Honor.
Super Card of Honor, yeah, Super Card of Honor 7, I believe it is. We're going to have, well, it's not official yet, but this was in Matt's. For those of you who don't watch Being the Elite, Matt has a special ability, and his ability is to see the future.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this before in Being the Elite, although we didn't get to see what he was seeing. In this episode, we get to see what he was seeing, which is a match between Kenny and Cody at Super Card of Honor. However it goes, I'm really excited.
I am too. And we also now know that Ibushi is going to be at Super Card of Honor. And it's worth knowing that ROH is promoting that as the main event on their website. So much for kayfabe.
Yeah, that's true. But, how did they know that Matt had this vision?
Who knows? Maybe Matt told them and they're like, you know what? That's a great idea. We're booking it.
Yeah.
And Matt's like, fuck, no, that wasn't my intention. I didn't want this as the match.
No, my friends. So what did you think of night 2 on a whole?
Better than night 1. And it really was the story of leading. Actually, it did two things. It advanced the storyline between Sonata and Okada, and it did that relatively well. And it told a masterful story of the Bullet Club coming undone.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Great storytelling. Of course, the show, I don't want to say focused on the Bullet Club because there are other stories there as well, like Okada and Sonata and LIJ, Chaos. But you can tell that New Japan is, no pun intended, all in with Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Although
it is worth noting, in terms of the matches for New Beginning in Osaka, I don't think there was anything Bullet Club related in terms of what was scheduled to happen.
Well, I guess...
Well, that makes sense, though, because ROH was working a show that night, and there was a lot of Bullet Club stuff that happened there. In fact, that show ended up being available for free on the ROH website, and if it's still available, I want to watch that because I wonder if anything went down Bullet Club related.
From what I've heard, watch ROH TV from this week. That's all I've heard. But I don't know anything about Osaka. Maybe that could be next week's review. If you like to get together and do this again, maybe next week. It's only a one-night pay-per-view. It happened last night in Osaka. But maybe we can get together again next week and review New Beginning in Osaka.
Sure. All
right. Sounds good. Something else I wanted to mention real quick that's coming up on this channel. JR is already on board. I'm going to be doing, and I'm actually, I didn't talk about this at all on the channel. So I'm actually making it official right now by saying it. I've had an idea for a while about a wrestling trivia show. So I'm going to be the first host of the wrestling trivia show, which is going to be called Wrestling is Life. It's pretty much going to be 6 questions, 6 categories, which the host will come up with. And it's just going to be like a fun game show type thing. That's going to be coming up soon here on the channel. again, tune in for our review of New Beginning in Osaka, which will be next week. Also, JR and I are going to be reviewing Saturday night's main event from February 1988. So that's going to be coming up on this channel. So a lot of fun stuff on this channel coming up soon. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button so you can see all of this content and more, bringing you wrestling news from all over the world. Thank you, Nick, for being a part of this. I appreciate you being on the show and reviewing night 2 with me, and night 1 as well.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Anytime. And I'm also looking forward to our review of New Beginning in Osaka. That will be next Saturday. If you haven't yet, head over to Facebook and click that like button. And what else? Oh, follow on Twitter at I've Got Till 5. And that is pretty much all the news to fit to print, as they used to say. I don't think the Times uses that anymore. I could be wrong, but I don't think the New York Times uses all the news that's fit to print anymore. But we're not printing; we're broadcasting. So I guess it's all the news that you can fit into a almost, holy crap, hour and a half broadcast. Yeah, something like that. So thank you again, Nick, for being here, and I'm looking forward to doing reviews with you in the future. My name is Adam, and we will see you next time.